Hello, LinkedIn Live. After like what felt like 6 months, but was like a month and a half of traveling, I'm back in my home office and I'm with who my wife now calls my new bromance, my brother. How are you doing? I'm so excited to have you on. Why don't you introduce yourself? I truly, I've learned to love you. We're doing so many great things together. You're such a bright mind. You're also fun and an artist, a musician. Why don't you share with the world a little bit about you, man?
Well, number one, thank you, my bromance, for having me on. And I think my CTO, when he saw it smart and all those nice things, he's going to join us in a minute here. But he'll definitely talk the intelligent type of things. But it's great to get to know you, Zev, and it's been fantastic. It's been sort of a short, recent acquaintance, but we become fast friends, as they say.
We were
And
introduced by a guy that I love. And sometimes, when you get introduced by somebody that you appreciate so much, that appreciation kind of goes through to the other person. And oh, we have another esteemed guest. Manoj, welcome in. We're so happy to have you. We finally have some brain power in the conversation, not just pretty faces. Just joking. But Ranj, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and then we'll go to Manoj to share a little bit more about what you guys do.
yeah, I won't belabor it. I mean, basically, as you know, some of the audience out here probably know, but I'm the CEO of a company called YYZ. We can talk about why YYZ and all the rest, but it's a very personal story, and we are actually in the process of changing that up a little bit. And I'm very pleased to have had Manoj join us recently. He's our CTO, much smarter than me, much smarter than I, and can get stuff going. We have traditionally been actually, we were a cybersecurity company for a number of years. We thought that was a good hot area, and it remains to be. We shifted our focus more to learning and development, and we were focused very much on particularly enterprise development. And as we started to sort of see more things in AI and people needing more AI related services and an understanding, we made a little bit of a pivot or shift, and we enhanced our focus, if you will, if you can say that, or broadened our focus. I don't know how you say it right, but really started getting more into AI solutions. And specifically, we figured, hey, we've got to start somewhere. So we really started on data because, frankly, we believe and we know that AI is nothing without data, right? And we'll talk a lot more about it, but high level, that's me. Since people sometimes might be interested, there is significance. YYZ has to do with music for me, and I will leave that as a what is it? What do you call it? An Easter egg or something? You guys can figure out what it is. But I play the drums, and I really love doing that, and I've given it up for so many years, decades really. But so glad to be doing that again. And as you and I've been talking about, as we get a little bit older here in years, it's very important to have hobbies and interests, and not just work. So that's something I love to do inside. Plenty of other things. I'm married, happily married, and have three wonderful kids. Manoj I've known for years, so I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to switch over to Manoj, and he's going to talk a little bit about himself.
Please.
Hey, thanks, Ranjit. Hey, Jeev. Hey, Ranjit. Hey, hello, everyone. Nice meeting you guys today morning. My name is Manoj. I'm a CTO for YYZ. I have like around 25 years plus experience in this industry, and I have spent like a lot of time in Microsoft, especially as a data scientist. And 2 years back, I decided to all right, let's see what the world is doing outside Microsoft, how the things look like. We did develop so many things, but let's see where we are, how the world is using it, and it has been. I can say, pleasantly surprised by what has happened in what my experience has been in last 2 years, and I see where, especially in AI area, how things has come up in last 3 4 years, especially after NVIDIA's GPUs and all things came in market, and all open AI and everything coming in market. How people have been thinking about uh, AI and overall the intelligence, you can say machine intelligence, we call it, how things are. Today, I'm very happy to discuss about it. What my experience has been, and how do we feel that organizations can go ahead with this AI adoption overall.
Love it. So let's start with like a 30,000 foot. The way I look at AI, guys, and I am, I'm very deep in this just like you guys, but let's, level the surface field, the field here. So the first thing is compute. We just talked about it. That's, we now have actual computers that move fast enough for us to actually process the data. The other part is data. And you were saying that, Ranj, but data to me is AI. Okay, if you're dealing with data and AI is not a part of it, you're not dealing with data. That is how I see it today. Data and AI are almost the same thing. And the last thing is algorithmic prompting. How you train these models to do what it is that you want or what you want to do. So what do you guys deal with YYZ? You help a lot of companies. Education is a big thing, but can you break it down for us how you help other companies?
We certainly can, but I want to go even maybe from 30 to 50, 60,000 feet and talk a little bit about AI, the adoption of it. How do you all start, right? And I will give a little, I'll throw something your way. You have a wonderful tool called Eval, and I think that's such a key kind of thing. And we'll talk about how Eval eventually leads you potentially to YYZ or folks like us. And I think that's kind of the question and the key. We help companies on the AI side really with solutions. We're really about data, and Manoj will talk a little bit more about that, maybe even some of the use cases and things that we're doing. Particularly, you look at edge cases, you look at things like synthetic data and all these terms that people just don't understand. What I love, it's like, let's try to demystify AI a little bit too, because is it really intelligence? No, it's not intelligence. It's not omniscient. It's not forward thinking. It can't reason yet. We talk about this holy grail of AGI, and see, I'm going to let somebody else define that term for a moment too. But what is AGI, right? It's all these interesting terminology, but really, I think it starts with evaluation. And Manoj and I still remember about a year and a half ago, Manoj and I had a conversation. I was in Seattle, and I said, "Hey, Manoj, tell me, what is all this stuff, right? Like, I mean, I have an understanding, but help me understand it." And he said, "Listen, Ranjit, everything is driven by data. Everyone wants to hop on the AI bandwagon. Hey, we're adopted, we got a co-pilot, we got this, we got that. But the ROI has been very questionable. And I think part of that comes because there's lack of understanding. And the other thing too is just a lack of data. So we really try to help companies understand how they can use the data, what they can do. Building models is great, but what's the practical application of what you're going to do? So I think that's a little bit of what I'm going to say. Manoj, talk a little bit, if you will, about some of the specific things that we've been doing, things that have been interesting for us. And one thing you mentioned compute power. One thing I do want to get to as we kind of progress the conversation is edge cases and in the entire kind of the edge world, if you will. So first, you got to define AGI.
Yeah, I mean, artificial general intelligence, I mean, it's a kind of still, as we say, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years maybe down the line, but we will reach there. But let me just, you know, catch up on the background from last 5 years, what has happened in this industry. Uh, Computer in itself, if you see 5 years back, or even its whole software, there was a almost like a touch and go relationship with every user in this world. Like it's like not very close, not very far. We use mobile, we use computers, but we don't know really what's happening. Last 5 years, things has so changed that now we have become used to it. Like especially after like coming generative AI and open AI things, and like we're using it in our daily life now. Not just not just for understanding, but for really improving ourselves as a human being. We want to improve, and that's where what's the AI magic is happening. And we have become closer to machines. We have become like closer to the overall computer science, I would say, in last 5 years. And this there is a danger to it, of course, and there is a good thing to it as well. But let me say that 5 years back, you might have heard this terminology called garbage in, garbage out, right? So you put garbage in, you will get garbage out. Machines has no intelligence in itself, so whatever you put in. But today, the terminology has changed. Now, what is the new terminology? Is clueless in, nonsense out. Everybody confused. So what's happening is that if you put a data, which basically if you insert a data to a machine which makes no sense, right? It will still answer, but it will be nonsense, right? So you need to make sure that what you are entering into the system or what you are telling today's AI makes sense. At least that intelligence you have to, input inside it. And then what you see wonders, because then it can look in a multi-dimensional space, join many things, and give you the answer which you might have also not thought about it, right? So that's kind of world has changed in last 5 years, where we have become much and much closer to machine. We are using it in everyday life, and getting benefited out of it. I mean, if you ask me today, every email I write, I just put it in the chat GPT and say, can you please improve it? And the output has always been amazing, right? The way it writes the email, it formats it. It's not like it is changing my theme of the email, but it is making me look better, right? And that's what the world wants, right? That's what the human wants, to basically look better, to communicate in a better way. And that's what today AI is doing to everybody. And that's what I say. We are very close to it now.
Love
Yeah.
that. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's about AI. It's what do you do with AI? I mean, I've been reading some. We read every day different stories. One I'll talk about later, which is we'd love to be that first billion-dollar company with, well, they say with one employee, but maybe even two or three or four. So that's really interesting to me. And we talk about how all these chat bots or sorry, how everything works there. With all your agents and agentic AI, right? Which is really fascinating. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is I read this. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. I think it was David Solomon with Goldman Sachs said that 95% of the work that's being done today is going to be replaced by AI. He gave an example, and I'm going to look at it right here because I wrote it up. Basically, he said, he says AI can now draft 95% of an S1, an IPO prospectus in minutes. It usually takes a 6-person team multiple weeks to do that, right? And so that last 5% now matters. The rest is a commodity. Well, here's my point. Let's be that 5%. And that's what we got to figure out, right? I mean, we're all scared of it. I mean, I make this joke sometimes is we used to have elevator operators. You don't see those. So the jobs, is it really that it's going to make us redundant? Is it that we're not going to have any work, or is it going to redefine the way we work and what we do? And yeah, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be displacement, but ultimately, my hope, like what Manoj is saying, is my hope and expectation really is that AI is going to make our lives better overall, right? We're going to be more productive. We're going to do much greater things. I mean, imagine we can take any vertical we want. We focus a lot on automotive. We do some stuff on financial, but just healthcare as an example. The kind of things we're doing as a result of having AI with research is incredible. I mean, we're talking about finding a cure for cancer as an example, right? We're talking about all these incredible things that are happening, and it's everything we've been doing, but now it's turbocharged. So we see these things on the horizon, and that to me is phenomenal. It's always the good and bad in anything, right? But to me, that's what's phenomenal.
I want people to understand that AI is not like anything we've seen before. And I believe that through and through. But the past 5 years, the amount of growth we've had is incredible. And I love the fact that we do emails with ChatGPT, but that is like the 0.0001 of what AI is going to do. AI is going to change everything. Okay, I truly think that all of us businesses, we're the dinosaurs, and AI is this thing that's falling through the sky, and it's going to change everything. And unfortunately, a lot of us are not going to survive, but it's just going to change the way we do things. Okay, not going to survive as the businesses we are, and we're going to need to reinvent ourselves moving forward. So I'm going to give a really silly analogy. Okay, if I ask, if I ask you guys right now, how much is 4,068 times 15,603? Okay, back in the day, we used to take a pen and paper and do that, and that would have taken us like, depending on who, probably Manu.
I have an abacus somewhere.
So basically, that's something we used to do. AI is going to do that for language, code, data. We're going to fast make everything faster. Now, the same way that nobody faults you right now for doing that on the calculator, as things grow, everything is going to be done. Language, code, and data is going to be done through an artificial intelligence system. Now, I love all the third parties out there, but as you guys very smartly put, it's all about data and our data, however you want to call it. But basically, if you give all of that to third party, you're losing all your power. Okay, so what I'm focused on is helping my clients and helping people understand that you got to put it in knowledge bases. Your knowledge is the tool, and then AI can do incredible things with that. But be careful with doing everything on third-party tools. Be careful on just sending everything for someone else. Build your own infrastructure. I would love to hear it from you guys, but when we build AI infrastructure to companies, not only they do everything better and faster, no hallucinations, but their valuation actually grow. In ChatGPT, I love, and Sam Altman, respect to him, but that's 0.1% of what's going out there. There is so many more things, and we got to change our thinking. And I would love to hear from you guys. How do you help people? You talked about eval. Before you bring solutions, you got to evaluate what you have. Where is your strength so AI can 10x, 100x, 1000x you?
So, Zev, I mean, thank you for setting that up very, very, very well, because it is about data, and that's really what we specialize in and focus on, right? So Manoj mentioned garbage in, garbage out. Now it's no sense in, no sense out, nonsense out, etc. But the adage is the same. And so number one, we start with you talk about security, right? And that worries me. Everything from your PII that you want to be protected, to who's accessing the data that's out there, to the efficacy of the data, how good it is. Are we looking at edge cases? We can talk about hallucinations in a minute, etc. But that to me is the key thing. So when we start, because we have a foundation in cybersecurity, understanding some of these things, we look at it from that perspective. Whether you're on a private cloud, whether you're building your own infrastructure, I think those things are vital. The other little thing, and Manoj is so smart, he's going to talk about this, but the other thing that you got to think about is data is great, but you have that whole thing of information overload. So on the one hand, you have to have some data. You can't have AI benefit without having access to some data. On the other hand, you also can't have so much data that there's confusion. So that's where we kind of try to get into it. So automotive being a good example, right? If I say turn it up, it can mean so many different things. So if you have a very large LLM, like you talk about ChatGPT, and you're using that, and it's not specific or specified to what you're looking to do, you might be in trouble. And especially if you're driving a car, you may have some unintended consequences which you don't want. So I'm gonna turn over to Manoj for a minute, but really talk about what we do there. What are things like edge cases? What is synthetic data? Because that to me is just, man, that blew my mind. And I'll start with, I'll do one little analogy that I love. Someone described synthetic data the other day as synthetic oil, right? It's purpose-built data. So we have oil, but we understand now in cars, when you have synthetic data, how do the higher temperatures, how do you adjust for that? So that oil is actually built specifically for those things. I'm going to hand over to Manoj.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. See, there's one thing every organization, everybody understands this thing. Data is important. There is no question about it. Now, the question is, how do we secure that data? How do we make sure we have the right data and we have the enough data? That's very important. And as you said, organizations today, when they are talking about AI, there is a completely different understanding of AI they have, right? It's like they think that it's kind of a magic bullet which will come and just, do everything for them. But it's not true, right? Because it can do, of course, as you said, it can do better emails, it can do better documentation, it can do better communication, but that is not where the real, business value is. The real business value lies in the data which is owned by the organization itself, because you want to look at how you did it in past, what is your current scenario, and how you are going to look in future, right? So that's how the strategies are made. That's how the organizations grow. and that's how you basically make a mark in this world, right? So it's very important that you have that data at one place. Think of it like in your home, you have some important tool which you need, and you know that it is somewhere in the house, but at the time of the need, you can't find it. And if you can't find it, what is the use of that tool, right? You'll better go to the market and buy the new one, right? So that's where the thing we talk about data is that you have to organize it in such a way that when you need it, you can go and quickly get it. And it's not just a specific person, it's not like CXOs or CTOs can get it, but anybody in the organization who is working towards bringing that inside can go and get it. So it should be secure. It should be also accessible at the same time to anybody who needs it, who is working on that thing. For that, you of course need an infrastructure to be built, right? Now, the problem with AI is that it is not just the data of the organization you need. You also need outside data. Like, for example, today business environment, and it has been there before, but now it is more that businesses are impacted by external factor a lot. That you need to understand those external factors, right? And we need to bring that data, and those data is very difficult to get, and that's where comes our synthetic data in picture, where we can create those data depending upon how things. We have been working with companies, to understand their data. We keep track of outside data, like how it is going in politically, socially, environmentally, how things are going, overall business scenarios, unrelated industries. We keep track of that, and we create that data synthetically. That doesn't belong to anyone. You can use it, and you can think of it, of course, as real as it is, right? And you can then bring those signals or bring those insights from external into your business and predict or find out how your business is going to behave 5 year down the line, or 10 year down the line, or maybe like next 6 months, how the strategy is going to be. You can test those things. So that's where the synthetic data becomes very important, that where which is no privacy concerns. We can tone it to any scenarios. We can make that accessible to anyone, and that's where we see the value of whole AI coming.
Love that. And so I just had a speaking in DC, and whenever I have a good speaking, I usually have one or two kind of hecklers, people that really don't agree with me. That's how I know I got it really well. So I was talking to people that most of what's outside on the internet is wrong. And I got this guy fighting me for it. It's like, no, everything on the internet is right. I was like, okay, do you believe the world is flat? Go look on the internet. You can find gigabytes, terabytes of telling you that the world's flat. If you believe in all kinds of other bigoted ideas, if you look online, you'll find them. So when you use an off-the-shelf tool that uses the internet as a database, you're relying on a flawed set of data. Okay. Now, the AI tools may be smart enough, and maybe they're the owners of these AI tools kind of created these things to make them. But when you rely on a flawed data set, your results will always be flawed or mediocre at best. And I always tell my team and everybody that wants to hear me, today's world, mediocre is free. We got to make sure we're not mediocre. So we got to bring that important data. And I love eating in amazing restaurants, like those hole in the wall type restaurants. And the secret is it's the grandma of the grandma of the grandma of the grandma that cooked all her life and found out those mysteries that make the food taste incredible. Your special sauce is what matters. AI can make everything faster, but faster crap is still crap, right? So I want everybody to understand it's not enough to rely on stuff outside. And somebody on my team coined this shiny crap. A lot of the stuff that comes out of these third-party tools is shiny. It looks really good. It makes you feel, oh, look what I put in, but it's crap. And AI is empowering whatever we are. If you're lazy, and that's what the AI is going to empower. If you don't use the right data, that's what it's going to grow. And I would love to hear from both of you how you help companies really take that special sauce data and make the right decisions?
Yeah. Again, I'll always defer anything slightly technical to Manoj, but overall, what you're talking about, one, as you were speaking and thinking about it, guardrails, right? We talk about guardrails. What kind of guardrails do we need? Do we need guardrails? That's a good question. At the end of the day, these are things, AI, LLMs, they're algorithms, they're things that are programmed. So they're set up to interpret information a certain way. And so there's two components, and Manoj, hopefully he can expand because I don't want to get out of my technical depth here. But one component is how does it react and respond to input, right? Like what's the output it can potentially give you? The other thing is understanding that input. So not only is it about the data itself, I may have great utterances, but how do you tag those particular utterances? How do they work? What's the correlation? Particularly when we have conversational AI, right? There's a question and sort of a call and response, if you will. How does all that work is really crucial and key, and that's where we specialize. We try one. We build. We don't just use synthetic data, by the way. I mean, it cannot be just that and it's purpose built, because that'll give you all sorts of errors and challenges. It's a matter of combination of real world data, and then having synthetic data, and then testing those two to see how it all works, so that you have a good set of information. And I don't think we're anywhere near there. I mean, there's so much going on here where you've got a human element. There are people, there's a whole industry that literally just goes through and looks at utterances and tags them and says whether they're real or not. It looks at images. I mean, it's amazing. This is something all of us should look at and consider. But even there, you're fallible, right? You're going to have redundancy where maybe 5 people look at the same image, and then you come up with a consensus as to what it is. But what we really try to specialize in is using that hybrid approach. One, creating really good synthetic data specific to the use case, number one. Number two, tagging, categorizing, making sure that those things make sense, right? And then number three, looking at and producing good quality data. So validating that our data is even synthetic, but it's real and it works. And it's gonna work in great scenarios and in real world examples. Manoj, can you expand on that a little bit? Kind of a little bit about how
Before
we do
you go there, I wanna kind of clarify this a little bit.
it?
So, how do you make sure that you train the data? Because we do so much with AI, and people just think, oh, let's just throw this in and have your AI do it. That's not enough. You need to train and test and almost try to break the AI. Try to make the AI make mistakes. Try to see where your pitfalls lay, and then it works. I would love for you to talk about that.
Manoj.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, Zeb, right? That's right. Once you have data, it's not enough, right? That data has to be first clean. It has to make sense. It has to be correlated, and then you have to have an objective, what you want out of that, particular model or uh, AI model you are building. What is the expected output from that, right? And just to sidestep on this is where we basically always tell organization that, don't come to AI and ask that what AI can do for me, because AI can so many things. What the right question to ask is that what are you doing and how AI can help, right? So that's where then you basically uh, trigger your AI towards that direction, right? So how, if you're doing marketing, then how can it help in marketing? If you're doing particular sales, wherever your pain points are, how it can alleviate those points or those pains in an organization. Now, coming back to our data thing, of course, you need clean data. You need everything at one place, easily accessible. Then you basically start building towards, take a foundational model and you start putting that your data and start seeing those responses and do the evaluation. Is this what you are looking for? Is what you are missing, or what is that you are missing? And those kinds of evaluations you are going towards, and you're making sure that this is making sense to you, right? Otherwise, it is, I mean, as I said, AI is going to output something, definitely. But does it make sense? Does it really belongs to the area you are in? Right? As Ranjit was saying, a particular word may mean multiple things. Does it correlate with your domain, what you are working on? So you need to basically give it either more data, or you basically have to go through. Now, we talk about fine tuning, and this is the basically whole process of like fine tuning your models and fitting it to particular domain or particular area, and we go through that whole process, and that's where the expenditure is in for any organization, basically training those models or doing like, there are different ways you can do. You can either train your foundational model, you can create a rack kind of retrieval augment generative kind of infrastructure you can go toward with it. So those are different type of things you can go and use AI for your own benefit. But the most important part is that before you do anything else, you have to be very, very clear what you want out of that AI and have a clear evaluation parameters to evaluate that it is really helping you or not.
I'm a military guy in my background, okay? Before you go and do something, you need to know what the end goal is. And then what we used to do is you plan backwards. This is where I want to go, and then I'll go step by step until I get to where I am now. The problem with most companies out there is they're just trying to use AI for things that sometimes it truly does not belong. And I think every company out there needs a roadmap for AI. Now we help with that, but I'm not trying to push us. Everybody needs to look at what they're doing. And one advice I have for people out there: use AI for what you know how to do to accelerate results. Don't use AI for what you don't know. That is catastrophic results. I've seen it happen close hand. It can lead to horrible things. So let me give you an example. I've been a marketer for 20 years, and I've built marketing machines, and I've had the biggest companies in the world come to me for marketing advice. Taking all that knowledge, I've built a tool called IdeaStream. That tool takes all the knowledge that I've known and just puts it in a place that it accelerates and makes it ready. But it's because I know how to do it without an AI, and AI can accelerate the process for me. So same with the people that you work with. You work with some amazing, car manufacturers. Those people know how to make these cars amazing. Okay, I don't want to name anybody, but I'm thinking about one brand in particular. They know they make amazing driving machines. Okay, so that's what they know. AI can accelerate that, but AI is not a magic stick. If you don't know how to do it, you can't throw it onto AI, and you must have a plan. And I have seen so many big companies without plans. What do you guys have seen in the market?
I mean, you're hitting it right. There was a question, I've not seen too many questions in the chat, but one popped up, and I think somebody asked where they began the AI journey, right? Like, how do you figure it out? And then what are some of the barriers, or what's some of the mystique? And I would say the first thing that companies lack, and I'm going a little off of our mainstay here, but we do provide training as well. And I think you had me on once before, which I appreciated. That was very much last minute. Thank you for having me. But we talked a little bit about training. And I think the biggest fear, challenge, etc., adoption is way down the road, is to demystify some of this stuff, right? People just are scared of AI. There's no awareness of what it really is. First of all, it's not intelligence, right? And I was trying to put a little article I wrote, or post I wrote, created this morning, just about trying to demystify some of this terminology, what is AI? But I think that's the first thing, is let us understand what AI is. Because if you don't understand what it is, what can you do? And then to Manoj's point, what are your objectives? We started earlier in the conversation saying, oh, remember the .com? Hey, I'll put .com, and suddenly the valuation of my company went up 50 times. And we've seen that, and we're working on a .ai, by the way, just for our valuation purposes. But no, the reality is you've got to see what the value is of anything that you're going to do, right? Do you want to be a Me Too player? I got to follow somebody. Is it peer pressure or whatever else? Or is it something that I really look and say, how can AI help my business? How can AI help me? You know what? Manoj said about writing emails. Honestly, that helps, because when I write a better email, it communicates better. It helps me figure out and structure it better, so I get a better response. So there's efficiency, or I might get an opportunity I didn't get before. And you being in the marketing side, understand that so very well, because it helps us communicate better, as an example. But if I don't know how to do that, and I just hear, oh, there's ChatGPT, and I don't know how to use it, it's worthless, in all honesty.
And something I must say about emails with ChatGPT, and I'm sure you guys do it really well, but I can tell
Oh yeah.
Like from 2 miles, I can tell that, it looks like every other email. It has those AI markers out there. So a lot of times, you think you elevate your professional email, you're actually losing your own touch. And when you lose your own touch, it's really dangerous. I would love to hear what you
No,
guys
well, two things on what you just said. First of all, I agree with you, and I think there are people out there. I try not to be guilty of it. Occasionally, if I'm in a rush, especially not so easy. It's like you're writing an email, and there's the option: rewrite this with AI or generate with AI, which is fine. But the core and the essence needs to be you. Number one. Number two, I know that I put into Grok or Claude or whomever else and said, "Hey, write this in my tone." And true, it's getting better and better and getting to know me, but I also worry how well does it know me? That's a secondary issue or concern I have. But still, I think that it's about assistance. And it goes back to that. It goes back to what we started a minute ago. It's not about AI. It's about how can AI help me? And if I don't understand how it helps me, it shouldn't change me per se. So can it help me write better? Yes. But should it be writing for me? No, I don't think so. Because it's not my voice any longer. It doesn't have my intelligence because it's not intelligent. So the way
Anybody
I
that
like to
knows
use it
me,
is,
sorry,
sorry,
man. Anybody that knows me knows I like to talk. Okay,
as
love
much
to
as
talk.
me.
Probably more. But everybody that knows me knows that. So am I gonna start writing things to an AI? Heck no, because I'm not gonna be myself. I'm gonna speak to an AI because that's how I communicate with my fellow humans. That's my gift in this world. So I'm gonna use my gifts with AI. Anytime I write something with AI, it comes out wrong. Anytime I speak with an AI, it comes out perfect. Uh, I would love to hear a little bit more of you. We're about 3 minutes from closing, so I'll hush down and I'll hear from the experts.
No, no, that's great. And just
I,
one very quick one, and maybe this is a good segue, Manoj. You can talk about conversational AI, right? You talked about speaking. Manoj, we can't talk too much about what we're doing specifically, but that's really what we're working on right now, correct? I mean, we're
yeah,
using data on a conversational AI.
yeah, we are trying to basically do it through synthetic data, which is pretty much new way of doing it. I mean, not new way, but I think the domain we are working on is pretty specialized, and it has I can say um, the accuracy and precision has to be quite high in that case. I mean, you can't really take like just get a rubbish answer from that kind of AI. It has like consequences, I can say. But I just wanted to tackle one question, which is you already did invisible barrier for having this enterprise-wide integration. If come to think of it, I just think of only one word, which is called fear. And that is what is the invisible barrier for any organizations. Fear among people that AI is going to replace me. And I think it has a lot to do with the messaging, how you are messaging within the organization. And as I said initially, I'm in Microsoft. I have spent like a lot of time in Microsoft. And recently, Satya, I heard somewhere saying that in some of the teams, 30% of code is written by AI. It's kind of, I mean, I would say that if you would message this out saying that our people are 30% smarter now because of the AI, probably the adoption towards that AI will be much much higher. Where you if you think AI as a competitor, then it's going to be half challenge. But if you are going to think AI is a companion who's going to help you improve you look better, everybody is going to accept it, right? And that's where I think that the messaging, the basically the fear has to be has to go away. The messaging has to be better. Instead of saying that AI is going to replace you, I think we need to say that AI will make us better. And of course there are some bad things also about every good thing there comes a bad thing. If you keep thinking about the bad thing, you will never human race will never progress, right? So we need to think about we how we can make it better, how we can use it for better uses, and how we can improve as a human being overall.
I love that. Now, before we end, I would like for you guys to share with everybody how they can reach out to you, okay? What they can help you guys with, because, everybody needs help with AI today. And how can they reach out to you guys to YYZ, and why should they?
Yeah, I mean, simple. One, find us on LinkedIn, right, and connect with either of us. We're happy to do it that way. It's probably the easiest way. You can look at our website, which is also on LinkedIn, and it's actually yyesy.com. So you can find a little bit more about that. But yeah, that is still a work in progress, or we're changing a lot of that up. So I think the easiest is just to reach us via LinkedIn. In terms of what you can help us with, so many things. I mean, we're still a small business. We're trying to grow, and if you think of use cases within your company or people who may be able to use help, particularly with data generation, pipe cleaning, fine tuning, things of that nature, we are very much here. And if you look at some specifics, vertical, finance, healthcare, those are three areas that we work very much and we're focused on. So, Manoj, anything else you want to add on that?
Touched upon it. I just wanted to say that, we are in a mission to basically make AI acceptable to everyone, make it in a simple language. So you will find us when we are talking in a very layman language, but we're not using buzzwords, or we're not using, like, trying to fear you, or, scare you off the AI or anything. We want AI to be friendly. We want AI to be our next door neighbor kind of person, like who we are living happily with. Right. So that's what our mission is. And that's what we are trying to do with organizations, trying to make them understand AI in the most easiest way and help them by using and grow that.
Awesome. So, guys, thank you so much. Everybody, visit YYZ. Go visit these incredible gentlemen on LinkedIn. You need to bring in people that understand what they're doing so you can have a plan moving forward. And if you need any help with data, you have amazing guys here. I personally vouch for them. You guys have been amazing. I know you've helped me. Looking forward for the next one. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Guys, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us, Ev. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you for having us. Have a good day.
Yeah, everybody.